Our seated forward fold, our Paschimottannasana. This pose is all about opening up through the hamstrings. It is the same pose as our standing forward fold, but in a seated position. This is what everyone tells me when they say they can't do yoga because they can't touch their toes. And as you can imagine, in this pose, the goal is not to touch our toes here either. The goal is to start to open up through the hamstrings. This is not a forward fold where we want to get the lower back folding. We can actually keep a pretty straight spine for most of this pose and then let the upper back curve forward. I'll show you what I mean. We're going to set up just like we did in staff pose, and I have a strap here which I find pretty handy to help us really get the full benefits of the pose as we work to deepen our flexibility. All right, so we're going to start with our legs extended, and if you want to see the video on staff pose, it's the same setup for staff pose as it is for our seated forward fold. I like to take my thighs and roll them out and back. That's allowing me to give room for some internal rotation of my thighs. It's also allowing me to really feel that grounding on my sits bones under my hips, so the base of my pelvis here. For traditionally, you would have your feet together. I like to keep that space between my feet. You can think of it just like your standing mountain pose. I like them hip distance. If you have a lot of belly, or if you're pregnant, then you can take them even wider. Doesn't matter. It changes the angle on the hamstring slightly, but we're still getting that big opening in the back of the legs. My pelvis, I want to try to get straight up and down. So if I have this little curve on my lower back, then I might need to bend my knees slightly in order to get this pelvis straight up and down to start. And with that, I can keep a little micro bend in my knees just to protect those joints if you have a tendency to overextend. However, we're not weight bearing in this pose, so hyperextending the joints here is not as dangerous as it would be when we're standing and weight bearing down on the legs. Still, let's keep that little micro bend in those feet. Okay, so I've got that nice foundation. It's always fun to grab those thighs and roll them out. I can get a little internal rotation of the legs, and I'm engaging the core. Using the breath here, we can really help ourselves just with the breath to get deeper into this pose. The first time I'm going to fold forward, I'm not going to allow any movement, or I'm going to try to keep my back straight as I do it. I love to inhale to get this length through the upper body. You can see I'm in mountain pose from the hips up, and again, I'm trying to get that pelvis straight up and down. As I inhale, I fill up both the stomach and the chest with air, so I feel my belly expand. And as I exhale, I'm going to hinge right at the hips, and I'm going to draw this belly button in and out. So just like a lot of our standing poses, I have internal rotation of the legs and engagement of that core. Inhale to lengthen. As I exhale, draw the belly button in, and I'm hinging forward, keeping that straight spine. I can even feel myself walking those heels forward, and that's giving me a little bit more space to fold. I'm going to reach a point where I can't go any further without starting to curve through the back. At this point, I'm going to simply let my hands drop down. And you can inhale again here to really draw that heart forward. Start to see how far you can go. Again, it's not about touching those toes with that straight spine. I can push through the big toe ball of my feet, keep those toes pointing back towards the shins, get quite a bit of work done right here. This is where the strap comes in handy. I can bring it around the feet. If my feet are wide, sometimes I like to do a little figure eight with the strap. So it's almost like I've created a loop and crossed it over, and that way I can hold on with both hands. Inhale to lengthen. Exhale, let the belly button draw in. That's going to give you a lot of space to come forward. Before we fold through the back, one more time, see if you can hold where you are and use that breath to create space. So big inhale, fill up the belly, fill up the chest, and as I exhale, let the belly draw in. See, I can get a little bit more space just with the breath. When I've gone as far as I can, I'm going to inhale again to lengthen. See how my shoulders are staying down away from the ears. And finally, if I'd like, I can let the upper back fold forward. You can just walk your hands to wherever they go. It doesn't matter, again, if they touch the feet, the ankles, down by the floor, or you can keep holding onto the strap here and bend through the elbows. Use the breath here. This is a good one to hold a little longer. Deep inhale, fill up the belly, create space. Exhale, draw that belly button in and up. Focus on the breath to let yourself go a little deeper. If you want to add a little bit more movement, you can inhale to lengthen. Exhale to bow, just like you're moving through your standing flow. Inhale, lengthen, draw that chest forward. Exhale, start to bow forward. Inhale, create space. Exhale, muscles release, draw the belly button in and up. That's going to give you even more space. After a long stretch, I like to use my hands to support myself, gently come out of it. Maybe you can walk the hands behind a little bit and let the chest open up. So again, it's not a pose to push yourself into, to feel like there's a destination. You want to just start to really use this to open up through those legs. And when we are in any yoga pose, we're thinking about the exhale helping the muscles to release and relax. So we're not trying to force or push into anything. We're inhaling to create space and we're exhaling to release. What muscles do you need to release to allow yourself to go just a little bit further? All right, that's our seated forward fold.